across the UK, and that's remarkable.
Because although they're fairly, well, they are rudimentary, there is a certain amount of maintenance.
There's a lot of maintenance to do because they're in very hostile environments, but they are very simple, you're quite right. Don't get away with the idea you've got luxury in there. You have no running water, no heating, no lighting, no toilets. So by and large you have to take your own fuel in, your own cooker, and take a spade as well, because you have to go to the toilet somewhere.
Yeah, we won't dwell on that too much. What is it why are you so passionate about them, and why are they different from camping, from youth hosteling?
Well, the great thing is you don't have to carry too much. If you go camping, you have to carry a tent, of course. If you go to a bothy, all you do is carry your clothes and your food. And you go in there with your sleeping bag, put it on the floor, and there you are in your stone tent.
All right, well, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, a very enjoyable evening spent the other night. As Carol was saying, cold overnight it was, but we certainly warmed up once that tea got going in the morning. And if you're ever out and about in the uplands and the highlands of the UK, I can thoroughly recommend a night in a bothy. You never know who you might meet. Back to you guys.
Sounds lovely, John. Thank you very much. We'll chat more with you later on.
Time to get the news, travel and weather where you are.
Good morning from BBC London News. I'm Victoria Hollins. Boris Johnson says he shares some of the concerns of the head of the Met Police about planned government cuts to the force. Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe warned that the Met's ability to deal with major events could be jeopardised. It comes as a think tank is warning the next decade will be amongst the most challenging in the force's history. Speaking during his trip to Japan, the mayor agreed.
Sir Bernard's a public servant. He's obviously right to express his concern, just as I would express my concern about any budgetary outcome that really prejudiced our ability to put bodies out on the streets, and I don't think that's where we're going to get to. Some of the numbers do look a bit worrying, particularly about the funding formula, and that's where I think there are legitimate concerns for the Met and for us.
Well, the Home Office says over the last 5 years, frontline services have been protected and public confidence in the police has gone up. A 20-year-old man is due in court later, charged with the murder of 17-year-old Shakan Sami Plummer. The teenager was stabbed to death at a party in Enfield in January. Jamal Williams of Berkeley Gardens was charged after being rearrested by detectives. The Royal Opera House is opening a Centre of Excellence in Thurrock later today to prepare its intake of 12 students for a career in costume design. More than 20,000 costumes which have been used in Royal Opera and Royal Ballet productions will be stored in the new building. OK, travel news now, and good news on the tube because still only minor delays on the Central line at the Circle line at the moment. On the trains, South Eastern has delays and alterations because of overrunning engineering work earlier at Sevenoaks and a broken rail at Blackheath. And looking at the roads, the A3 Clapham road's queuing into town from Clapham North to the works at Stockwell, very slow there. And the A406 North Circular queues in the roadworks between Harrow Road and Neasden. And that takes us to the weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Hello, good morning. Not quite as chilly or, unfortunately, as bright as it was yesterday morning. We've even got a few mist patches around, but other than that, a fairly similar day to the one we saw yesterday. There will still be a few showers around, most of them light, the odd one quite heavy, and an exposure to that rather chilly northeasterly breeze. It's always going to feel quite cool. Now, as we head through the course of the morning, the cloud amounts will be increasing. More cloud than yesterday, so consequently, it's going to feel a little bit cooler. Highs of only 13 or 14 Celsius. Watch out for those showers. Most of them light, the odd one quite sharp, I'm afraid, particularly towards eastern areas. Now, as we head through this evening and overnight, not a lot changes. Still the threat of some showers, particularly towards the east. Temperatures down to around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius in the towns, a bit lower than that in the rural spots, of course. Now, as we head into tomorrow, I think many places could stay dry, but we've got this weather front just creeping into eastern parts, so parts of Kent and Essex in particular could continue to see some spells of rain tomorrow, but otherwise a slightly drier day, but still feeling quite chilly underneath all of that cloud. Temperatures still below average for the time of year, and there'll still be that rather chilly northerly to northeasterly breeze too. And nothing much changes over the weekend. It will still feel quite cool, the odd shower at times.
Right, I'm back in half an hour. You can follow all the news for London as it happens on the BBC Local Live page of our website. Going live now. Bye for now.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Naga Manchetti and Charlie State.
Nearly 3/4 of hospitals inspected in England fall short of safety standards.
The Care Quality Commission says it found patients left overnight on trolleys, inadequate record keeping, and medicines not properly administered.
Good morning. It's Thursday, the 15th of October.
Also coming up this morning, the first new grammar school for 50 years is to be given the go-ahead, an expansion of an existing school in Kent.
An expected rise in crime figures as they include fraud and cybercrime for the first time. We'll find out why keeping count could help combat the fraudsters.
Good morning. The amount of electricity we're using is going up, and at the same time we're not producing as much of it. I'll be looking at whether the lights could go out this winter.
Good morning. The cost of buying a football ticket has dropped or remained the same for the majority of fans, according to the BBC's annual Price of Football study. We'll be telling you how to work out where your money goes on a match day.
She may be the beauty or the beast, maybe the famine or the feast.
More than 1,200 songs, recorded 294 albums, and sold more than 180 million records. Charles Aznavour will be here to tell us why at 91 years old he's still not ready to retire.
Wow. Carol has the weather for us.
Good morning. Once again today it's a chilly start for most of us. We've also got some patchy mist and fog, and today west and north is best in terms of sunshine. Central and eastern areas seeing a bit more cloud at times. There'll be some showers and a cool northeasterly breeze. I'll have more in 15 minutes.
See you then, Carol.
Good morning. First, our main story. 3/4 of NHS hospitals in England inspected by the health watchdog do not meet safety standards, with 1 in 8 rated unsafe.
The Care Quality Commission says patient safety remains its greatest concern after carrying out new, tougher inspections of care services.
The CQC also found large variations in the quality of care at GP practices and nursing homes. Our health correspondent Sophie Hutchinson has more.
It was the scandal over poor care at Stafford Hospital that drove the move towards tougher inspections. Today's results are the first overview showing how hospitals are performing. Inspectors say most patients receive good care, but that safety is still a major concern. Half of all hospital trusts in England were inspected by the Care Quality Commission, and safety issues found in nearly 3/4. 61% required improvement and 13% were rated as unsafe. Failures in the worst cases included poor staffing levels, incidents not being fully investigated, and A&E patients left on trolleys overnight without being properly assessed.
Safety is the biggest concern that we're highlighting in this report, and what we are saying is that urgent action needs to be taken.
A small proportion of GP practices were also examined, and the vast majority rated good or outstanding. But inspectors found safety issues in over 40% of adult social care, with particular risks in nursing homes. The report said improving leadership was the key to tackling the problems. But with the NHS racking up record deficits for the first quarter of this year, nurses leaders have cited financial pressures and inadequate investment in staff as a major factor hampering safe care. Sophie Hutchinson, BBC News.
The Scottish nurse being treated for a recurrence of Ebola remains in a critical condition in hospital.
Pauline Kafiki contracted the virus while working at a medical clinic in Sierra Leone during the outbreak in West Africa last year.
Our correspondent Ben Gagan is at the Royal Free Hospital in London. Ben, good morning. What more do we know about Ms Kafiki's condition?
Well, there's been no update this morning about her condition, so we must assume that she is still critically ill after her condition deteriorated. She was brought here in the early hours of Friday morning. The hospital said at that time that it was a result of an unusual and late complication of her Ebola problem that she had earlier on this year, and so she's back in the high-level isolation unit here at the hospital, basically a big plastic tent around her hospital bed to minimize the risk of further infection. But doctors are saying that this turn of events is unprecedented, it's uncharted territory, and she herself has acknowledged that it is a very unpredictable virus. She was in London a couple of weeks ago for an awards ceremony. She talked to the BBC and revealed that she'd been suffering from joint pains. She'd also had hair loss and thyroid problems. I suppose from her point of view, the hopeful thing is that she has been in this situation before. She has been critically ill before. She recovered before. And of course, everyone is hoping that she will recover again this time.
OK, Ben, thanks very much.
Britain is to get its first new grammar school in more than 50 years. The Education Secretary, Nicky Morgan, is expected to approve plans for an academically selective school in Sevenoaks in Kent, which will operate as an annex to an existing school. Let's go to our political correspondent, El Nagania, who is in Westminster for us this morning. So this has been a long time coming out. It has been complicated legally and politically.
Yeah, it has been. It is very controversial, and I expect there could be more legal wranglings over this. It could even be challenged in the courts. It's taken the government a very long time to get to this point, and the proposals for the Weald of Kent Girls' School to open a second site have been reworked and resubmitted over a number of years. It's controversial because back in 1998, Labour brought in laws that banned new selective schools from opening, but then the coalition government, the Liberal Democrat and Conservative government said that existing schools could expand, but only as long as there was demand. So I think the government is making a very carefully calculated political risk, if you like, today by allowing a school in Tunbridge to open a new site in Sevenoaks, around 10 miles away. Now, those in favour say grammar schools are good because they provide high-achieving schools for bright pupils, regardless of where they live or their family income. But critics say they're unfair, that they're divisive, and Labour have said today's decision is a huge backward step. I think what many people will be asking is how much pressure this decision today puts on the government to allow other grammars up and down the country to open new sites that are miles away from their existing bases.
Eleanor, for the moment, thank you.
David Cameron will be in Brussels today. He's going to meet the European Commission President to press for changes in the UK's relationship with the EU. Let's talk to Alex Forsyth, who's in Brussels for us following events. Alex, it's not quite clear how much the Prime Minister can or will push for, but push he must.
That's quite right. There's a big meeting today in Brussels of European Union leaders. David Cameron will be here. Most of the focus will be on the migrant crisis, trying to stem the flow of migrants to the European Union, trying to get a deal with Turkey to help achieve that. But David Cameron has a different agenda, and at the bottom of today's list of subjects to be discussed is the UK's referendum on the membership of the European Union. Now, David Cameron is trying to renegotiate and reform the relationship between the UK and the EU. There have been talks since June between officials, largely technical on the broad areas the UK wants to look at. And officials from some European countries have expressed frustration that there isn't a more specific list of demands on the table. Now, the big substantial discussions about this will take place later on this year in December, but today it's an important moment for David Cameron to try and talk round the edges and keep winning goodwill, because this renegotiation is not going to be easy.
Alex, thanks very much.
The Scottish National Party begins its annual conference in Aberdeen today. It's a first since winning all but 3 seats in Scotland at the general election. In her opening address, the SNP leader Nicola Sturgeon is expected to tell delegates that winning a 3rd successive term in Holyrood is her goal.
We essentially say there will only be a second referendum in Scotland if the people of Scotland demonstrate that there is strong and consistent desire within Scotland for this to be an independent country. The decision about the future of Scotland lies very firmly in the hands of the people who choose to live in this country and to work in this country and to decide its constitutional future.
John Swinney, Deputy First Minister, speaking to us a little earlier.
An investigation has begun after a wild bear was shot dead outside a shopping mall in Russia.
Camouflaged policemen fired at the animal after it ran into a playground, Charlotte Hayward reports.
It's not clear where it came from or how it got there, but the wild bear was caught on CCTV rampaging around a shopping centre in Khabarovsk near the Russian-Chinese border. As the police arrive, the animal, appearing increasingly distressed, slams into a window and disappears. It then tries again. As the bear escapes and heads towards a children's playground nearby, marksmen pursue it. Soon afterwards, the animal is shot. An investigation has started into what happened and whether the decision to kill the bear was the right one. Charlotte Hayward, BBC News.
A hot air balloon has had a close shave, narrowly avoiding cars as it flew really low over a busy road. We can show you. The footage was captured on a dash cam and shows just how close the balloon came to crashing into traffic in Southport. What was happening was the pilot was trying to land in a neighbouring field. We do understand he did make it.
All was well, they were safe. Let's see, the time now is 11 minutes past 8.
Britain's top crime agency has urged the public to protect themselves against cyber attacks, which have seen fraudsters steal millions from UK bank accounts.
The warning comes as new figures are expected to reveal a major jump in overall crime levels, as fraud and cyber offences are included in official data for the first time.
We're joined now in the studio by Amanda Jackson, who lost tens of thousands of pounds to online criminals. And in our London studio is Charlie McMurdy, the former head of the Police Central E-Crime Unit. Welcome to you both. Amanda, your story, when we were reading what happened to you, it could so easily have happened to anyone. Would you tell us what happened?
Well, I was due to complete on my house on the 5th of October, just last week. And I got an email from my solicitors confirming the amount that I was to send over. I emailed back asking for the bank details. That came from reception at 10:30 on the 1st of October. And then a few hours later, I received a follow-up email, exactly the same, saying, "Good afternoon, Amanda. Further to our correspondence, I realise I've sent you old bank details. Please find below our new bank details."
So when you say exactly the same...
Sorry, it was exactly the same, bar one letter in the email address. And because Yahoo, Google all link your emails to the title, I actually would have had to click on the word reception to have seen the full email.
And because it was the same day, you assumed it's all part of the same chain, referring to something you knew about.
Yeah. And
So-
I mean, it was basically their email copied and pasted with different bank details in.
So you paid the money?
So I went in on the Friday morning, the 2nd of October, went into the bank because I knew that you filled out a form and they asked you for the bank account name. And I naively thought the bank account name was married up with the account number and the sort code, but the account name means nothing.
So the upshot of this is that you sent off almost £77,000,
Yeah.
and you now don't know where that money is.
It's gone.
To this other account?
No, it went to the other account on the 2nd of October, and then it basically was moved to 3 further accounts across the world, and then emptied.
So presumably the first thing you've done, and I know this is all very raw, and
It is.
I can see you're getting upset even talking about it. It's a staggering sum of money. You called the police, did you? I mean, where can this go? What investigations can there be?
That's what I would like to come from this show, because basically I'm helpless. I'm on my own, and these criminals, it's perfect crime. It's all fake, you know, their identities are hidden.
So just deal with some practicalities for us. Can the police, you mentioned that you know, how do you know where the money has gone? You said it's gone to 3 different accounts. How do you know that?
Well, the police came back and informed me of that.
Can they not
through their investigations?
Can they not follow the money?
The money's now been withdrawn from all bank accounts, so the money is gone.
And can they identify the accounts and chase it
They
that
can
way?
identify the accounts. That's as much as I know. They've been withdrawn with ATMs.
And assuming
you're
this
talking
was done,
CCTV.
this was done very quickly, within
very quickly,
a matter of days, hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk to Charlie McMurdy, who's former head of the Metro Police Central E-Crime Unit. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you've heard many cases like this, and many people will be saying this. You know, unless you absolutely check the email, you can see how someone has fallen victim to such a scam like this. What more can be done to protect people?
This is a very common type of scam. It's not just members of the public, it's a lot of companies, businesses are falling foul of this type of scam. They compromise the details, they know that a payment's due to be made, and they'll send an email that looks like a legitimate email notifying of different account details. Unfortunately, you know, the latest statistics that we've seen, there's been an 80% increase this year alone in the number of cyber attacks taking place, with a significant increase in the sophistication of cyber attacks and insider aspects as well being identified as a real problem, with reported to them to actually follow the money and stop the loss happening, because as your victims just said, this happens really, really fast. They can move money from one account to another account to another account, quite often outside of the UK jurisdiction, and then do a very quick cash out. So the money's gone before the victim quite often realises they've been defrauded.
Some people listening to what you're saying and to Amanda's story will be thinking, for any sizable transaction, I mean, should you be using internet or email connections for that? Is this just a warning about not doing that because the protections are so few?
The protections can be put in place, but it's very easy to fall foul when there's just a minor alteration in the emails that people receive. It's difficult to work out the point of compromise. Where did somebody actually access that transaction to identify that that money was due to be paid, how much money was due to be paid, and where was it going to be shipped to? So somebody's got into that network and jumped into the middle of that transaction and diverted those funds.
Thank you.
So
can we just just on that theme, Amanda, you were nodding then. I mean, who do you? I mean, I take it you're acknowledging you made a mistake was made.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, who are you holding responsible, if you like, apart from the people who perpetrated it?
That's the difficulty, because I have tried to find out if my email was hacked. I'm with BT. I spent an hour on the phone with them. They weren't able to advise me if I've been hacked. I don't seem to be able to find out if my solicitor's email's been hacked. I don't know if they even need to hack anymore, if they're just have software. I mean, they seem to be really far ahead of what we would comprehend, and they follow just apparently the bank, when they see bank details being sent, that's when they click in. I can't imagine that they would have been watching me just as a normal person. I wouldn't normally have that amount of money in my bank account, so I imagine they had to be watching, but I don't have any evidence for that.
Thank you for sharing the story with us, Amanda. And Charlie McCurdy, thank you for your time as well this morning. Thank you both.
18 minutes past 8. Time to talk to Carol. Time to find out what's happening with the weather. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, both. Good morning to you as well. Well, it's a chilly start to the day. Some of us still have temperatures just above or just below freezing, so there's some frost. We've also got some patchy fog as well. On the near continent, as we were saying yesterday, there's been some snow earlier in the season than we'd expect across Russia, parts of Germany, Poland, Belgium, and the cold air around that is what's coming onto our shores in the southeast. But we're not expecting any snow. Now, what we've had this morning are quite a lot of showers, particularly across the eastern and some southern and central parts of England. As we go through the rest of the day, those showers will continue, not necessarily in the same places, and not all of us will catch one, but you can see the extent of the cloud cover. They may get to East Wales, they may get to Dorset and Devon as well, but you'll be unlucky if they do go that far west. Away from those showers, it's a bright start, the fog lifting quite readily, except for across the central lowlands, Perth and Kinross, where it will take that bit longer to lift. Now into the afternoon, we still will have quite a bit of cloud across most of England. Again, there'll be some sunny breaks in between, but we're also looking at some showers and the wind exacerbating that chilly feel. There'll be more cloud after a sunny start across southwest England and Wales, but it's fair weather cloud, so still a pleasant afternoon. And across northern England, 1 or 2 showers, but again, some sunny spells. As we move into Scotland, when the fog lifts, the sun will come out, but there will be a lot of sunshine from the word go, with some fair weather cloud building through the day, as indeed there will be across Northern Ireland here too. The fog a little bit slower to lift, but some sunshine coming out. Now through the evening and overnight, the wind strengthens in the southeast, and we'll see some rain moving in across East Anglia and Kent, but clear skies continuing in the west. So it's going to be a chilly night wherever you are. These are the kind of level 6 that you can expect in towns and cities, but much lower than that in the countryside and across Northern Ireland and also parts of Scotland. Once again, we will be looking at a touch of frost. Tomorrow, if anything, though, there'll be even more cloud across England and also Wales. But in the west, we'll see some sunny breaks. Still the rain coming in across the far southeastern corner, again accompanied by that brisk, cold northeasterly wind. But for Scotland and for Northern Ireland, another fine day, a lot of sunshine, light winds, temperatures around about 11 or 12. Naga and Charlie.
Carol, thanks very much. Talk to you later on.
A major drive to help us avoid winter illnesses is being launched today. It's kicking off with a flu vaccination programme for children.
For the first time, all primary pupils in years 1 and 2 will be offered a free nasal vaccine, making it the largest ever school-based vaccination programme in England.
It comes after failures last year when the jab offered barely any cover against the main strain of flu encountered in the UK. We can talk to the Chief Medical Officer, Professor Dame Sally Davies, who joins us now from Westminster. Thank you for joining us on Breakfast. Good morning. Why have we delayed this start, or has it been delayed in England? Because Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland have already begun their rollout.
Good morning. Let me start by saying that last year the response rate was actually much higher than you've just said. At Christmas we were worried that the flu strain had drifted and it wasn't covering, but the children's coverage was really quite good. And overall, we were at over 30% effectiveness during the winter, which means that there was significant protection. So here we are starting. It's going to be the biggest programme ever, as you said, and we're going into all schools, inviting over 3 million children to be vaccinated, aged 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, with a few 7-year-olds who happen to be in year 2.
It also comes down to uptake, doesn't it? I mean, in some parts of England last year, I understand 32% uptake, not even 1 in 3. It's making sure people or children and their parents are willing to have this. How are you going to improve those uptake levels?
Thank you. Well, it does come down to how we deliver it and parents' understanding. The uptake in the school pilots was 50%, so we know that that makes it easy for families because the staff go into the schools and do it there, so we hope we'll get at least 50% or more. Meanwhile, I want, with your help, to remind families that this is a nasal spray. The worst side effect seems to be a little snuffles in some children, and the protective effect is possible to be really effective. And it not only impacts on these children, helping stop them get flu, which can be nasty, and of course there are always a few sad deaths every year, but it protects their whole families, because children, particularly young ones, are known as the super spreaders, you know, snot everywhere on mum, dad, brothers, sisters, and particularly grandpas and grandmas. So by vaccinating their children, they're first and foremost protecting those children, but secondly, helping protect the whole family.
Professor Davies, can we ask you a question about Ebola? Pauline Kafaki has been readmitted to hospital and is, we understand, critically ill for a second time. Can you give us your view on how the NHS is prepared, how well armed the NHS is to deal with critically ill patients like Pauline Kafaki?
So first, all of us send our best wishes to Pauline and her family for a speedy recovery. This is an awful time for them. We have superb critical care here, and at the Royal Free we have one of the best infectious disease units in the world. She's being nursed in one of these special tents that you saw a lot of in the heights of the Ebola outbreak last autumn and early this year. There is no doubt that her care, and of anyone else who gets Ebola and brings it into this country, will be of the highest standard, not only for the patient, but also in protecting staff, their families and the public.
OK. Professor Dame Sally Davies, Chief Medical Officer, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, the time now is 8:25. Steph's on standby for us, talking about electricity supplies.
Yes, and it's all about whether we have enough of them for the winter ahead. Morning, everyone. Yes, if the winter is any harsher than is currently predicted, then it will put a lot of pressure on our energy supplies. National Grid, which manages the electricity and gas networks, says that spare capacity has fallen to its lowest level in a decade, and they are having to pay some big users to reduce their consumption and others to put extra power plants on standby. And another story for you. The retailer WH Smith has reported an 8% increase in profits this morning. They made £121 million in the year to the end of August. The boss, Stephen Clark, is putting it down to a boost in sales of what he calls colour therapy for adults. Yes, colouring books for grown-ups. That's what's helped WH Smith sales. Would you believe it?
Very popular, I believe.
Yeah, they are.
I have one.
Do you?
Excellent. Good for the mind. Relaxing. Thanks, Steph.
Let's see, Joanna Gosling is presenting the Victoria Derbyshire programme, 9:15 this morning at BBC 2, and we can say good morning to Joanna now. Hello there.
Morning, Charlie. Coming up on the programme, what led to the collapse of Kids Company? We'll be hearing from the founder of the charity. She's giving evidence to MPs at around 9:40 this morning. Plus, the SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, talks at the annual party conference. We'll bring you an exclusive interview also with the father of Mohammed Al-Nimr, who's been sentenced to beheading and crucifixion in Saudi Arabia for taking part in a protest when he was 17. Join us straight after breakfast at 9:15 on BBC 2, the BBC News channel and online. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Joanna.
Time to get the news, the travel, the weather, where you are. We'll see you soon.
Good morning from BBC London News. I'm Victoria Hollins. Boris Johnson says he shares some of the concerns at the head of the Met Police about planned government cuts to the force. Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe warned that the Met's ability to deal with major events could be jeopardised. It comes as a think tank is warning the next decade will be amongst the most challenging in the force's history.
Sir Bernard's a public servant. He's obviously right to express his concern, just as I would express my concern about any budgetary outcome that really prejudiced our ability to put bodies out on the streets, and I don't think that's where we're going to get to. Some of the numbers do look a bit worrying, particularly about the funding formula, and that's where I think there are legitimate concerns for the Met and for us.
Well, the Home Office says over the last 5 years, frontline services have been protected and public confidence in the police has gone up. A 20-year-old man is due in court later, charged with the murder of 17-year-old Shakan Sami Plummer. The teenager was stabbed to death at a party in Enfield in January. Jamal Williams of Berkeley Gardens was charged after being rearrested by detectives. Luton-based EasyJet is launching a recruitment campaign for more women pilots. Only 5% of the airline's 2,500 pilots are currently women. EasyJet says it wants to double the number of female trainees to 12% over the next 2 years. OK, travel news now, and so far so good on the tubes, apart from minor delays on the Circle line. On the trains, though, South Eastern has delays and alterations because of overrunning works earlier at Sevenoaks and a broken rail at Blackheath. Looking at the roads, the A406 North Circular is queuing in the roadworks between Harrow Road and Neasden, though things are moving. And the A3 Clapham Road's queuing into town from Clapham North to the works at Stockwell. And that takes us to the weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Hello, good morning. Not quite as chilly or, unfortunately, as bright as it was yesterday morning. We've even got a few mist patches around, but other than that, a fairly similar day to the one we saw yesterday. There will still be a few showers around, most of them, like the old one, quite heavy, and an exposure to that rather chilly northeasterly breeze. It's always going to feel quite cool. Now, as we head through the course of the morning, the cloud amounts will be increasing. More cloud than yesterday, so consequently, it's going to feel a little bit cooler. Highs of only 13 or 14 Celsius. Watch out for those showers. Most of them, like the odd one, quite sharp, I'm afraid, particularly towards eastern areas. Now, as we head through this evening and overnight, not a lot changes. Still the threat of some showers, particularly towards the east. Temperatures down to around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius in the towns, a bit lower than that in the rural spots, of course. Now, as we head into tomorrow, I think many places could stay dry, but we've got this weather front just creeping into eastern parts, so parts of Kent and Essex in particular could continue to see some spells of rain tomorrow, but otherwise a slightly drier day, but still feeling quite chilly underneath all of that cloud. Temperatures still below average for the time of year, and there'll still be that rather chilly northerly to northeasterly breeze too. And nothing much changes over the weekend. It will still feel quite cool, the odd shower at times.
That's it, but Vanessa Feltz is on BBC Radio London. She'll be taking your calls just after 9 o'clock on the first new grammar school site for 50 years being approved. Bye for now.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Naga Manchetti and Charlie State.
Time's 8:30. It's time to bring you up to date with the main news. 3/4 of NHS hospitals in England inspected by the health watchdog do not meet safety standards. 1 in 8 were rated unsafe.
Care Quality Commission says patient safety remains its greatest concern. After carrying out new, tougher inspections of care services, it also found large variations in the quality of care at GP practices and nursing homes.
Speaking to BBC Breakfast earlier, the chief executive of the CQC, David Bean, told us that although NHS budgets are tight, hospitals still can be managed well.
What we see is organisations, hospitals and care homes with similar amounts of money available perform very differently, and in some they perform to a very high standard. And we think that the quality of leadership and the culture that those leaders create within their organisations is key. But money does have an influence, we're not denying that, but we are wanting to emphasise this important issue of leadership and the creation of a culture that drives improvement in quality.
The Scottish nurse being treated for a recurrence of Ebola remains in a critical condition in hospital. Pauline Kafiki contracted the virus while working at a medical clinic in Sierra Leone during the outbreak in West Africa last year.
Britain's to get its first new grammar school for more than 50 years. The Education Secretary, Nicky Morgan, is expected to approve plans for an academically selective school at Sevenoaks in Kent. It'll operate as an annex to an existing facility, meaning it escapes the ban on operating new grammar schools.
21 Labour MPs have defied the party leadership by abstaining from a Commons vote on the government's new fiscal charter. Labour's official position had changed in recent weeks from support to opposition. The Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, admitted he had made an embarrassing U-turn.
David Cameron will be in Brussels today, where he'll meet the European Commission President to press for changes in the UK's relationship with the EU. The government wants to renegotiate ahead of the planned referendum on membership. Some member states have said the demands must be put in writing for discussions to continue.
Scottish National Party begins its annual conference in Aberdeen today. It's first since winning all but 3 seats in Scotland at the general election. In her opening address, the SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, is expected to tell delegates that winning a 3rd successive term in Holyrood is her goal. Early on Breakfast, her deputy John Swinney addressed speculation over the likelihood of another independence referendum.
We essentially say there will only be a second referendum in Scotland if the people of Scotland demonstrate that there is strong and consistent desire within Scotland for this to be an independent country. The decision about the future of Scotland lies very firmly in the hands of the people who choose to live in this country and to work in this country and to decide its constitutional future.
Volkswagen is being forced to recall 2.4 million vehicles in Germany. The German automotive watchdog ordered the move after VW admitted cheating on emission tests for diesel vehicles. Up to 11 million vehicles are affected worldwide, more than 1 million in the UK.
Up to 3 million primary school children are to be vaccinated against flu in a major health campaign that's been launched in England today. It comes after failures last year when the jab offered barely any cover against the main strain of flu experienced in the UK. In the last half hour, the Chief Medical Officer, Professor Dame Sally Davis, explained why it's so important to vaccinate children.
Children, particularly young ones, are known as the super spreaders, snot everywhere on mum, dad, brothers, sisters, and particularly grandpas and grandmas. So by vaccinating their children, they're first and foremost protecting those children, but secondly, helping protect the whole family.
Police in Russia have shot dead a wild bear that wandered into a shopping centre. Video footage showed the animal running through the building before barging through 2 doors to escape. A policeman shot the bear as it headed towards a children's playground. An investigation will take place into why it was killed.
And this little boy in Japan got more than he bargained for when he met Boris Johnson in Tokyo. The Mayor of London took out the 10-year-old schoolboy during a game of street rugby. Oh! As he raced down the mini-turf pitch, a youngster said he felt a bit of pain. A bit of pain. But there they are, both down on the ground. He was up and running a little later on. They're both down at that point. But they both survived, apparently. It's a cracking shot, that one, isn't it?
That's fabulous. I wonder if Boris apologised. That brings you up to date. The time now is 8:35. Carol have the weather in 10 minutes, also coming up on breakfast this morning. With the average cost of the cheapest Premier League matchday ticket now topping £30, we'll ask if football is pricing out its fans.
Nous évitons les drames, ils sont pour nous aider, prêts à n'importe quoi, même complaisamment.
Charles Aznavour there. 1,200 songs, sold more than 180 million records. Not enough for him. He'll be telling us why he's still touring now at the age of 91.
And the YouTube megastars who forged a successful career in the baffling online world of likes, comments and shares. Vloggers Dan and Phil will be on the sofa after 9 o'clock.
That's coming up in a few minutes' time. Sally's here now with the sport. Do you know what? I was looking at that picture of the cricket behind us there. That could be a county cricket match.
Yeah.
The grass is so green.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Could
Although,
be.
I can tell you, it's a lot hotter than Surrey, where they are at the moment. They're in Abu Dhabi. Interestingly, they're on day 3 of the first test. And so far, the first 2 days, the crowds have been pretty sparse. But today is a public holiday, so they're hoping for a big crowd there today. England have, in fact, fought back on the 3rd day of the first test against Pakistan in Abu Dhabi. They've just lost their first wicket. They started the day 467 runs behind captain Alistair Cook and Moeen Ali. Both look solid. The pair shared a century partnership with Cook reaching his 50. But Moeen Ali has just gone for 35. A few moments ago, England were 117 for 1. Andy Murray is also fighting back against John Isner in the 3rd round of the Shanghai Masters. The world number 2 lost the first set on a tie-break, but has levelled the match by taking the second 6-4. After no break points in the first, there were 11 in the second. Murray taking the one that mattered. Prince Ali bin Ali Hussein of Jordan has officially put his name forward to be considered as the next president of FIFA. He stood against Sepp Blatter and lost last May. The next election is due in February. UEFA will decide later today if they're to back their president, Michel Platini, in the election. Platini and Blatter are currently suspended from FIFA. Chelsea's manager Jose Mourinho has been given a suspended one-match stadium ban and fined £50,000 by the Football Association. The punishment follows comments he made about match officials after his team lost 3-1 to Southampton 2 weeks ago. Women's Super League champions Chelsea are through to the last 16 of the Champions League after beating Glasgow City. The Blues were 1-0 up from the first leg before goals from Enia Luko, Fran Kirby and Gilly Flaherty made it 4-0 on aggregate. Liverpool, meanwhile, are out. They trailed from the first leg against the Italian side Brescia, and that goal there confirmed their defeat in Matt Beard's final game in charge. We've been talking a lot about the cost of football this morning, haven't we? Cost of wearing your team shirt, buying a cup of tea.
Yes, because the ticket side of it is one thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But everything else adds up.
Yeah, the thing I'm interested in is a full adult kit for Manchester United, which is the most expensive one, is well over £100. So that includes shirt, shorts, socks, name on the back. How many grown-ups are wearing the full kit? That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know. Let's go through, thank you, Sal. Let's go through some of the figures now. Cost of a ticket to a football match has dropped or remained the same for the majority of fans over the last year. That's according to BBC Sport's Price of Football study, which looked at costs at 227 clubs in 13 leagues across Britain. It showed the average cost of the cheapest matchday ticket in the Premier League has passed £30 for the first time. The average cost of an adult replica shirt in the top flight is now £49.68. That's up nearly 5%, with half of the clubs putting prices up. Kidderminster Harriers again have the most expensive pie. That comes in at £4.50. And Liverpool and Rangers have the most expensive cup of tea. That comes in £2.50.
It's a lot of money if you add it all up.
A lot of money for a cup of tea.
Indeed. Imagine taking a family out. So let's discuss the findings more in detail. Duncan Drasdow is the Chief Executive of the Manchester United Supporters Trust. Welcome.
Morning.
So you've taken a look at this survey, taken a look at the prices. What surprised you the most?
Well, I mean, obviously, I suppose it's surprising to a lot of fans to think that prices are actually stabilising now But I think what's important to understand is that, you know, we've seen inflation-busting price rises for the last 20 years. And, you know, what a lot of fans ask is, why is it that we're paying so much more for our tickets in the UK than, you know, that our rivals do in Europe? You know, like Bayern Munich might be paying a third of the price that we're paying. And we want to understand why that is. And I think the reason is down to the ownership model that we have in the UK. Because our clubs are privately owned, there's a profit incentive for the owners. And so they're pushing the prices up as far as they can. Whereas you look at a club like Bayern Munich, and they know that they have to look after their supporters because they see the match game fans as part of the club and part of the match game experience rather than customers. You know, you're not a customer when you're a football fan because each football club is effectively a monopoly. You can only buy your Manchester United or your Liverpool tickets from that club. And because fans, unlike somebody who shops at a supermarket, doesn't say, I'm going to swap to this one because it's a better value, they're effectively in a captive market. And so I think there's a responsibility on football to actually look after its supporters and recognise that they're not customers there to be exploited, but they're actually part of the game and a really important part of the match experience that brings so much TV revenue in.
Well, the tickets are one part of it, isn't it? You know, Manchester United is your love, your passion. I'm looking at those prices for the kits. £60 for an adult shirt, it's the highest of all. £45 for a junior shirt. So the junior strip altogether would be £103. So what do you make of those figures?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are an extreme example again, and you know, I mean, I think it's similar to the tickets. You know, you only buy the kit for your particular club. But to be honest, I mean, for me, and I think for most match-going fans, the tickets are the real issue because they're what give you access to the club, and the other things are very much seen as optional extras, I think.
It's the best league in the world, though, isn't it? Isn't that why it can demand, you know, people want to see football here, want to see top teams play, top flight teams?
I think it's a fantastically entertaining league, certainly. Whether it's the best, I suppose, is debatable in terms of whether we're delivering the trophies, you know, at European level, certainly. But what you have to remember is that as football fans, you support your club through thick and thin. So it's not about, I will, you know, work out whether this is value for money or not. If your club's winning or losing, you would still be supporting them. And it would be a crazy situation if, as a fan, your club became more successful, meant that you were no longer able to afford to go and watch it. And I know that football stadia are still full at the moment in the UK, but I think it's really important to understand that there's a sort of social exclusion going on. Over a period of time, we're seeing that, yes, the stadium's still full, but it's not the same fans. You do not see local fans from around the stadia inside the stadium to the same extent. They're being replaced by wealthier fans coming from further afield. And I do think that's a problem because football clubs are a community asset. They've been built up over generations in that community.
Is there a tipping point at which, I mean, I'm presuming you buy your season ticket.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Would you do that whatever? I mean, would you? What if it goes up next year 10% or 20%? Do you buy whatever? And if you do, are you part of the problem?
Yeah, I think we are part of the problem in a sense, but I think the problem is because of the ownership structure we have and an FA that can't regulate the game because it doesn't have the power. You know, it isn't independent of the clubs enough to be able to actually do anything. And so we have this difficulty that either government has to do something in terms of some kind of regulation of football, and in 2010 they did promise to do that, and we've yet to see any action yet, so we're hoping this Parliament they're actually going to deliver on that. So I think the problem is that, yes, there is a tipping point for a fan, and we've already seen lots of fans have stopped going. You go to the pubs around Stretford and Salford on a match day, and there'll be United fans in there who'll be watching it on TV, who years ago would have been watching it inside the ground. And I think that's a real problem because those fans are being excluded.
Very interesting. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Duncan, thank you. You can also find out how much it will cost you to support your team this season. Use the online calculator on the BBC Sport website, bbc.co.uk/sport.
SC time now is 8:44. He may have written more than 1,200 songs, sold 180 million records, but Charles Aznavour is not yet ready to hang up his microphone.
At the age of 91, the legendary French singer is embarking on a European tour to perform some of the greatest hits from his 294 studio albums.
We'll talk to him in just a moment. First, though, let's remind ourselves of one of the tunes he's most famous for, She.
She may be the beauty or the beast, maybe the famine or the feast, may turn each day into a heaven or hell. She may be the mirror of my dream, a smile reflected in a stream. She may not be what she may seem. inside her shell. She always seems so happy in a crowd, whose eyes can be so private and so proud. No one's allowed to see them when they cry. She may be the love that cannot hope to last, may come to me from shadows of the past that I remember till the day I die. She may be the reason I survive.
Charles Aznavour, with it, just sorting out your mobile phone. Is it switched off?
No, it's from my ears.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was your mobile
Because I
phone.
don't hear very well.
Ah, but you sing beautifully.
I see well.
You see well?
Yes.
And you see, we were listening to She
Yeah.
there. Is that one of your favourite songs, or are you a bit...
I have no favorite songs. I love what the public loves.
Well, She's pretty...
That's the most important.
She's pretty
Yes,
up
but
there.
among the songs there is She, there is Yesterday When I Was Young, there is many other songs. There is What Makes a Man, which is a very big success, without being a hot song, you know what I mean? But it's worthwhile, and I have few like that, which are not very much known by the public, but known by the public who comes to see me. I'm not a successful writer. I'm a writer who has successful songs, which is different.
Charles, can I just say, because there are going to be people looking at you now, watching this, you look remarkable for
I'm young.
91 years old.
And a few months.
And a few months. When
Yeah.
was your birthday?
Well, May.
In May?
Yes.
You look
And I have decided to give my last performance on the May 22, 2024.
At which you will be...
100.
100. You really intend to carry on performing?
And I'm going to reach it, I know. I knew it since long time that I'm going to live long.
So what's the tip you can give us for longevity and staying healthy?
Not to exaggerate anything. Not to drink too much. Not to take any drugs. Not to be crazy, you know what I mean, about everything. Just live. Live well, you know what I mean, until the bottom, but not too much. And enjoy, and smile, and laugh.
Laughing
Very
is
important,
important.
laughing.
I want to talk about your friendship with Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
She encouraged you a lot in your
Yes
early
and
career.
no.
Okay, tell.
Funny enough, because she liked me very much. I wrote songs for her. I was with her in a tour, singing, but she was much more with the boyfriends she had. Because I haven't been the lover of Piaf. I loved her as a friend, but no more.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us more for a second then.
No, I can't tell you more. There's no more things. It was it. I lived in her house 8 years. I was there day and night. I've seen the men going and leaving, but I was there.
Did she help you with your music? Or
Yeah.
did you help her with her music?
She told me since the start, you're going to make it. She was maybe the only one, because the press was terrible for me.
What didn't they like?
The critics were terrible. They find my songs bizarre, as we say. They said that I didn't have the physique to be a star. They said my voice was terrible too. Everything is wrong. But I didn't listen to them. I said, well, I know I'm going to make it. You know, that's the only way. The head against the wall.
You must know, Charles, very well, probably better than anyone, how the British love a French accent.
Do I have a French accent?
Yes.
Are
Just
you
a little.
sure it's French?
It's what?
Can be Armenian?
Well,
Of course,
well,
your
yes, because
family.
that was your ancestry.
Yes, but I don't think I have a French accent. I think I know I have an accent, which we can't say. The French accent, it was the accent of Maurice Chevalier. speaking like this, you know what I mean?
Which was a more extreme. It was a more extreme version, yes.
But that was
absolutely
his
true.
charm too.
Yeah.
You're going on tour again. You're touring again.
Yeah, I have never stopped.
You've never stopped. It's exhausting.
No.
Being on stage, isn't it?
I can
all the
arrive
young
to the
people.
theater dead. I step on stage, I'm alive, and I come out of the stage
buzzing.
Fantastically well, you know, because I love the stage, I love the public. If you want to be loved by the public, first of all, you have to love the public.
So what will they see in your concerts? What will they see? What songs? What kind of performance?
Depends the city, depends the place. For example, if you say there is many Spanish-speaking people, I will have one or two songs in Spanish. If it's Italian, I will do it in Italian. In English, I do the half of the show in English, and the rest French and Russian, Spanish, Italian. But it's not a challenge for me. It's a pleasure. Every night I learn something. Since I was young, every night I read for an hour and a half, and I learn something, which is very important.
We started with your singing She,
Yeah.
which is such a beautiful song. I can't help but think you must have heard some awful versions of it over the years, people singing it in karaoke or...
We have 300 and something recording of it. No, most of the time it's good.
Elvis Costello, of course.
Yeah.
Very good version.
The lyrics are from Herbert Kretzmer, which has translated many of my songs, and very well. And every time I find a new songs he had written years ago, I haven't sung yet, and I'm coming back each time with something I haven't sung in England before.
Well, it's lovely to see you, and you're going to delight the fans on your live tour. So thank you very much. For coming.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, Charles is going to be performing at the Royal Albert Hall next month.
Let's take a moment and have a look at the weather carols there for us.
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning. This morning it is a chilly start to the day. Temperatures are still pretty low for many of us, but we have still got some patchy mist and fog, and that will slowly lift, particularly so across Northern Ireland, central Scotland and around Perth and Kinross. Now, it's also going to be a cold day because today we're still dragging in this cool northeasterly breeze from a cold continent. High pressure still dominating though. You can see the ridge here, so things fairly settled for most if you're away from the east coast. Because along the east coast, not only have we got that breeze, but we've also got some showers. We've been watching the showers this morning. Some of them have got a bit further inland. Some of them have reached down towards the south coast as well. And we'll carry on with those showers as we go through the course of the day. You can see the amount of cloud that we have. Not all of us will see a shower, but the heaviest ones are likely to be across East Anglia and Kent. And here too it will feel cool with that northeasterly breeze. Out towards the west, when the fog lifts, well, there'll be some sunshine. Some of us already have that sunshine. So into the afternoon, we continue with the showers again, hit and miss. In between there'll be some sunny spells, but it will feel cool. Temperatures in London around about 13 or 14, but exacerbated by that breeze. Into southwest England and Wales, after a sunny start, you'll notice a bit more cloud developing, so sunny spells through the afternoon rather than wall-to-wall blue skies. And it's the same across northern England. We're looking at a few showers, but most of us missing them. And again, there'll be some sunny spells, but close to the east coast, you probably will see one or two. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, when the fog lifts, again, we're back into the sunshine, with a wee bit more fair weather cloud developing through the afternoon. Now, as we head into the evening and overnight, the wind strengthens across the southeast, still from that cool direction, and we'll see some rain arriving across East Anglia and Kent. But eastern England still prone to the showers. In the west, under clear skies, it's going to be cool. In fact, cool enough for some frost, particularly so across Scotland and Northern Ireland in sheltered areas. So that's where we'll have the sunshine from the word go. Again, any patchy mist and fog slow to lift. And we still will have the rain and the stronger winds coming in across the southeast, so it will feel cool. More cloud across England and Wales compared to today. But even so, there will be some breaks in the west. But if you're stuck under the cloud or under the rain, again, it will feel cool. Then as we head on into the weekend, well, high pressure is still dominating our weather, so still things remain fairly settled. Pretty pleasant across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some showers in the east, and where we've got this weather front again, we'll see further showers and still this cool wind. But next week it looks like it's the reversal of fortunes, so it will turn a bit milder in the south and become a bit wetter and windier in the northwest. Charlie and Naga.
Well, thanks very much.
Thanks, Carol. 8:55 the time now. The British weather means the hardiest of walkers and climbers sometimes need to find a little shelter. Luckily, there are places in some of the wildest parts of the country where you can find an open door, a roof.
They're called Bothies. The volunteers who look after them are celebrating a special anniversary.
Yes, John Maguire's out and about for us in Wales. John, you have chosen such a beautiful location. Are you near the Bothy?
Yeah, we are, Charlie. Well, the Bothy's a good deal away. They all tend to be remote right across the UK. You're quite right. 50th anniversary of the Mountain Bothies Association. This is the Elan Valley and Powys, right in the centre of Wales, and it is truly magnificent, especially at this time of year. The sun that Carol was talking about just coming out behind me. Aberystwyth is about 20 miles in that direction, picking out the autumn colours at this time of year when the bracken's dying back and the grass is dying back. It's magnificent. And just as you were reading the introduction there, I was watching a pair of red kites flying above our cameraman, hoping that he would throw down some of his breakfast so that they could come down and... Well, there's always a warm welcome. I went in search of one.
This area of mid Wales is a wild and wondrous place. There's little for company here, save the birds, an army of sheep and breathtaking views. So I'm heading to a shelter for the night and have met up with some people who can guide me there.
The family moved out in 1952, the Scott family. They still live in the area, and descendants were very kindly able to come and support us on the opening day. Right. And it was empty for 63 years. There we go. A stunning location. We're about 1,000 feet above sea level here. Yeah. So it's a remote old place.
Donated by hand to become one of the 100 bothies that are located in wildernesses across the UK.
So John, here we are at last.
Oh, nice and cosy.
Lewis come back, which is probably, I hope anyway, for you an unexpected pleasure.
You may overnight on your own, but often you'll be joined by strangers.
There aren't any rules, and you don't pay any money. You turn up and the door's always open. Winter, summer, you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know whether there's going to be a fire or not, and it's very unusual. So they're very, very basic. But the good thing is that they're free, and they're open to everybody. They're unlocked. You don't have to book them. So you and I can just turn up at any bothy, any time, and just stay there.
The accommodation's basic, pretty much just a roof over your head and a fire for warmth. This week marks the 50th anniversary of the Mountain Bothies Association, and the group's being honoured with a Queen's Award for voluntary service. So, time for a celebration. Sky makes for excellent stargazing. Spot a shooting star.
Our legs are tired and our eyelids are heavy. Time to go to sleep. Night, Phoebe. Night, Simon.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
In the morning, we're tempted out of our sleeping bags by a mug of steaming tea. And as the sun struggles to make it over the ridge, we go our separate ways.
All right, see you guys. Thanks very much. Happy travels.
This is Bothy life.
Take care.
Weary walkers are friends well met, sharing jokes and stories indoors before returning once again to the splendour and the solitude of the great outdoors.
Well, they originally started in Scotland just after the war, when people were climbing or in the hills needed somewhere to shelter for the night. They then spread, as we've been saying, across the UK, and the association started 50 years ago. A double celebration for the association this week. Yet just yesterday they received the Queen's Voluntary Award. There are 4,000 members of the MBA and around 250 volunteers that very often go out to maintain the bothies. Now, they're very, very basic, very rudimentary, so you might not think that they would require much maintenance, but just remember that the landscape that they sit within, the wind, the extremes of temperature, the rain. So the key thing is to make sure that the roof is sound and obviously waterproof. And I can tell you, from having slept out in one just the other night, I was very glad that the roof was in good condition. So, from Powys, from the Elan Valley, back to you guys in that stuffy old studio.
We're very envious, John. Stay with us for just a moment, because you mentioned you stayed out the night. Phoebe, you were with John.
I was indeed.
Are you in the bothy?
I was in the bothy.
It's the cameraman and you and so
Simon, yeah.
Does John snore? I just got to clear this up straight away.
Oh, I don't know whether I should admit it. I don't know whether I should admit it, John. Well, that was a very interesting experience, but they were lovely guys. It ended up clearing out one of the rooms, so I had my own room. And I've been there and been completely by myself for the night. So you just never know what you're going to get, which is sort of wonderful, I think.
John alluded in his piece that if the bothy was full, you could be turned away. Is that part of the code?
Well, no, the code really is there's always room in the bothy, especially because sometimes people can turn up because they've intended to wild camp somewhere and the weather's turned and they've thought, actually, I'm going to go find the bothy. So really, people are very friendly and very generous, and they do tend to make room for you.
And in the network, there are, the bothy, the management of bothy.
Yeah, the MBA network. Yeah.
How many? There are 100?
101 at the moment.
And you've stayed in?
About 50 of them.
And are they easy to find?
They're fairly easy to find. If you're happy reading an OS map, I would say is one of the things. We've got great mapping, but sometimes the beauty with bothies is some of them that I found I've just kind of stumbled upon while I'm out for a walk anyway, and then thought, right, I'm definitely going to come back here. And again, that's kind of the beauty of it.
Now, the one that we featured and that you and John stayed in was. Well, I mean, when we all looked at it, we thought, that's smart.
Oh, that's a beautiful
a fancy new roof and a little fire and everything. I assume they're not all like that.
They're not all like that. Quite a lot do have the fire, do have the stoves now, which is good, but some of them don't. And some of them are a lot less. That one looks brand new. I have to say, when I went in, I was sort of in awe of it. Some of them don't have sleeping platforms, which were the raised wooden platforms that we slept on. And so you really don't know what you're going to get. It is like camping. You have to think of it like camping. And I always take a tent or a bivvy bag with me, just in case it's full, or just in case I get there and I think, actually, I think it's a beautiful night, I'd rather stay outside.
This one looks amazing.
This is on the Isle of Skye. This one's called the Lookout. And the view you get, you can see at the front of the window, you get a 180-degree panorama, basically, and you can sometimes spot whales from there. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, I think.
Well, I mean, looking at that and the way the policy works of just turning up,
yes.
Why would you leave? I mean,
well, in the Bothy code, you're supposed to stay no more than 2 nights. And people genuinely don't. I mean, it's a great and very uniquely British system that it's free to use, and it's all run on trust, all run by volunteers and funded by donation. It's a wonderful British institution, and long may it reign.
And this one's in Balmoral, and this looks probably a bit more simple.
Now, this used to be one of the coldest in the network. This is called Geldershiel Stable, and it's actually Queen Victoria's former stables. It was absolutely freezing when I stayed there last, but recently, in May, I believe, they did a refurb, and they insulated the walls, put in a stove, and the Queen a few years ago actually paid for the toilet to be installed. So there's a flush toilet. When I say flush, you have to get the bucket, fill it, and manually flush it, but that is luxurious in Bothy terms, let me tell you.
Are you staying in one this weekend, or is it?
Oh, if I can. I always do if I can, yeah.
You're genuinely excited about staying in Bothy,
I love them. I love them. I love the way you can't plan anything with them. I love that they take you to some of the wildest remote places of the UK, and I love that you can just meet some incredible people there. So I encourage everyone to try it even just one time, and definitely donate to the MBA as well.
Phoebe, nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. We're going to be joined by YouTube sensations Dan and Phil in a moment.
First, a quick last look at the headlines where you are this morning.
Good morning from BBC London News. I'm Victoria Hollins. London's safety and security will be undermined due to planned government cuts in police and the public sector. That's according to a report by a think tank commissioned by the Met, which says the next decade will be amongst the most challenging in the force's history. But the Home Office says over the last 5 years, frontline services have been protected. Boris Johnson has knocked over a child during a game of street rugby in Japan. The Mayor of London took out the 10-year-old schoolboy as he ran down the mini-turf pitch in Tokyo. The boy hit the ground and suffered some pain, but soon began running around again. The schoolboy said it had been enjoyable meeting the Mayor. Right, let's get a check on the travel situation. And there's a good service on the tube at the moment, apart from minor delays on the Circle line. I promise you, even though that doesn't say that. On the trains, South Eastern has delays and alterations. Overrunning works mean Sevenoaks and a broken down rail at Blackheath were causing problems. On the roads, the A203 South Lambeth Road is queuing northbound from Stockwell to Vauxhall. That's because of roadworks. And the North Circular is queuing in the roadworks between Harrow Road and Neasden. Finally, City of London, Lower Thames Street queuing into town, approaching the roadworks at London Bridge. And so to the weather, another mainly cloudy day with occasional showers and a chilly breeze. Some brightness is possible at times and a top temperature of 14 degrees. That's it. I'm back at 1:30. See you then. Bye-bye.
Now, since uploading their first videos aged 18 and 19, our next guests have become two of the internet's biggest stars.
Dan and Phil have more than 9 million subscribers to their YouTube channels. They were the first vloggers to be given their own BBC Radio 1 show.
Now they've got a new book and they've vlogged about that as well. Let's have a look.
Order of our pages.
I don't know what to say. What? I thought you were going to say something. I've got a headache. In a good way. Writing.
I'm reminiscing on my university years.
It's 2 in the morning.
Book. Writing at 30,000 feet.
So today, me and Phil are making the incredibly important decision of which paper do we want for the book. You wouldn't think, would you?
No.
That's a big decision to be made. But
It's
there are
such a big
options.
decision. You can either get super glossy.
Look
which
how
is
shiny
like,
that is.
Oh my god, it's a magazine. And then medium gloss, which is like, ooh, am I a magazine or am I a piece of paper? I don't know what my life is. And then there is full-on
sexy matte version.
Sexy, papery amazingness.
We think we like the sexy matte papery amazingness one.
So the main reason is it smells really good. It smells like a book.
We want you to sniff the book and be happy. That's the main goal of it.
Sniff the book, Dan and Phil. Morning.
Good morning.
What got knocked over then? I'm fascinated. Something got knocked over.
I think it was a cup of coffee.
Phil
I'm
is
so
very
clumsy.
clumsy.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
briefed not to fall over the sofa, not to knock over your coffee.
Shall we move
so
it?
I'm just
Practice, we made it onto this little stage without tripping over, so that's a win already. We're
Is
very
this
proud.
studio a bit of an anomaly to you? Because I'm assuming that the way you normally operate it's literally at home. Is it? And
Yeah,
it's just a little
entirely
fixed.
self-produced.
What is it? Little fixed camera on a? How does it work?
We have like a digital SLR on a tripod, then we've got big lights and microphones, and really it's what's fun about YouTubers is that they entirely self-produce their own content.
Yeah.
So we don't get to, just sit and enjoy performing because we have to be the writers and the directors and the editors and the promoters, but that's what's special about YouTube.
So how do you decide what to vlog about?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I take stuff from my everyday life, really. Like once I was bitten by a squirrel, I was like, well, there's a video.
That actually happened.
Squirrel bit me.
Were you filming it when it happened?
I wasn't, unfortunately.
Almost.
I was trying to get a photo of it. I've got like a mid-air, blurry squirrel shot.
Where did
as
it
was
bite
about
you?
to pound. In Florida. It was the place
Was the location?
on my hand, but I haven't dropped
You're
dead
still
yet,
here
so
today.
I think I'm fine.
And I just think about topics that really interest me, things that I want to talk about passionately, that I think my followers would want to kind of engage in, and then for some reason people actually listen to what I say.
Why do you
Terrifying.
think they listen? Because you have, what did I say, more than 9 million followers?
Yeah, I think that the reason that people really like YouTubers is because they're quite authentic and because of the direct relationship that you have with people on YouTube as opposed to TV. Because, as I said, everyone makes this content themselves. So when you know that someone's had a part in every single piece of something, it seems really sincere and passionate that they've made it. And also, it's not just, sitting behind a TV. You have those YouTube comments right there. So the audience feels a real direct connection to YouTubers that they watch.
I must not be the only person to observe that you are not dissimilar in your looks and but you came together. You didn't know one another, as children or whatever, but you got together.
Yep.
Through the internet.
Through the internet.
Through the internet.
So who saw whose stuff first?
Well, I have been making videos for about 5 years, but
Yeah.
Phil,
I'm like a YouTube dinosaur. I was there in the beginnings of YouTube time.
How long was that ago?
9 years ago.
9 years.
So did you see his stuff?
I knew him as Amazing Phil, and as I was about to go on my gap year, I thought, hey, great hobby, start making YouTube videos. I messaged him saying, hey, I really like what you make, tell me more about YouTube, and then here we are today.
And then we collaborated, and people seem to like the videos, so...
And then here we are. Yeah.
There have been rules about product placement, and I'd quite like you to clear this up, because we've spoken to quite a few people who vlog, and you've got to be quite careful, haven't you? Because people, if they follow you, they listen to you, they admire you, they imitate you. So you have to be very clear, don't you, about when you're advertising or when you've been doing a product placement. And how's that worked so far?
I'm quite lucky enough that I don't really have to support my career by doing a lot of sponsored content, which some people do have to do. But I think that was, you know, one of the teething problems of this being a wild west frontier on the internet, is that the ASA was kind of like, oh my gosh, we need to decide what the rules are all of a sudden.
Advertising Standards Authority.
Yes.
So that was a thing that they had to clarify.
So we need to bring some new rules in, and they brought the rules in, and now we've all got a guideline to follow, which is really helpful.
So did you do something with Oreo cookies?
That wasn't me. You did something.
I did on my channel. Yeah,
that was before, you know, they'd kind of established.
That was before the rules were established.
Do you think they're a good idea? The rules?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Make it
It's
clear?
good. You know, it's one of these things where, you know, YouTube is so brand new, so you know, all of these kind of systems and things that are in place now, they had to kind of be made from scratch, which is quite exciting.
You're both. It's funny sitting next to you because you're both very upbeat. You're both very.
Thank you.
I
It's
would
early
say
for us.
You mentioned squirrels. I would say bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. That's you
Thank
seem that
you.
way. But do you do sad things in
Sad
your
things?
vlogs as well? Because does it? It seems to me something that works better with kind of here's a bit of fun and we're diddling around or whatever. Can you do other stuff? Does it have a kind of a flow to it like that?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I like my videos to be quite positive because I want someone to be able to watch them as entertainment and think, oh, now my day feels a bit better.
A lot of young people, they really turn to YouTube when they're not having good days and, you know, in search of something that can kind of brighten up their afternoons. But a lot of the reason why people like my videos is because I do talk about things. As we did a show for Radio 1 earlier this year as part of a #NicerInternet campaign about cyberbullying. And I was kind of opening up about my experiences of being bullied at school and sometimes what I go through on the internet. And when someone like vloggers who are so well engaged and listened to open up about something like that, it can have a really profound positive impact on the people that watch it. So we enjoy it.
You're going backwards.
You've got a
book out. You've got a book out. A funny old thing with paper and everything.
Yeah.
That was quite fun, wasn't it? Because here we are on the cutting edge of technology, and then all of a sudden we're doing a theatrical stage show, a book. You know, we're on BBC Radio. Why are we going backwards? But it's fun for us because, you know, as we said, we do all this stuff from our home. It's all self-produced. So now getting to go out there into the world and make these big and better things, working with all these incredibly talented people, is very exciting for us.
Yeah. Lovely to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dan and Phil's new book is called The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire.
That's it from us tomorrow. We're back tomorrow morning, of course, at 6.
Let's leave you with a shot of Elan, where John has been all morning. It's gorgeous there in Wales. Bye-bye.
Do you know the score when it comes to your credit rating? Money advice on Rip Off Britain next.
Why do you always make cat whiskers on your face? What does a giraffe sound like? every animal makes that noise with you. Yeah. Zebra.
Zebra.
Zebra. If you had to lose your leg or your nose, what would you lose?
I'd lose my leg. Imagine my face without a nose.
Voldemort has no nose.
I'd look like Voldemort.
Voldemort's pretty fit, to be honest.
I already look like Voldemort.
I would bang Voldemort. Ninja or pirate?
Ninja.
I am naked right now.
Oh. Would you eat ham every day for the rest of your life if you got paid £1 million for every month you lived?
Yes. Although, I'd probably die of ham poisoning.
Ham overload.
Ham overdose. Ham.
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 Let's go for it.
Is your house still haunted? You may not know, but Phil actually lives in the hotel from the film The Shining. They have the Death Cathedral window, demonic toy #1, generally the hotel from The Shining. Pictures of the dead family that were brutally murdered in this house 200 years ago. What the hell is that? Where are we going? Front door of death. The actual scariest doll in existence that will just chop you up in your sleep. Look at it. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly the scariest thing in the house. Who was your first love?
Your mum.
May I stroke your glabella?
What's a glabella?
Let's find out what a glabella is. Glabella is the space between the eyebrows and above the nose.
There.
There.
Show the diagram. Oh.
That's so interesting, Phil. I bet they're also glad they can see the diagram. I've done that one. Is it fun being a man now?
Yeah, especially now I've got my cordless hammer drill.
So manly. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What would you do if a goat...
I need to start.
Can you say something in French?
Je mange les petits enfants. Est-ce qu'il y a une salle de jeu? That's the only thing I remember from French class.
Tu mets une prostitute. Do you use an iron to straighten your hair like Stephen does?
Yes.
No, okay. Phil has really crappy GHDs that don't even work. They are Poundland GHDs.
GDHs.
They are GDHs.
Je m'appelle Philippe un poisson. Et toi? I'm filming it.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
I think you should quack. Oh. You just can't say that.
No.
How do rabbits get protein?
From eating a lot of meat.
Should I even bother asking about your feet?
No.
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Danger.
Wally.
Wally.
Would you and your lion ever have a threesome with Hannah Montana? I'm ready. Do you have eyelashes?
No.
What was your first word?
Light.
Okay.
Light!
This was the most fun I've ever had. No! Bye!
That's so cheesy.
It's supposed to be cheesy.
Bye bye, everybody.
Goodbye!
Bye bye. Hey Dan, do you want to answer some questions?
No.
Hey.
Boom!
Penis, Dan. Penis, penis, penis. What's your favourite fruit? And Phil's too.
Is that what the question is?
I like watermelon.
But am I the most boring person in the entire world if I say orange?
Yes. Would you let someone eat smushed Jaffa cakes off your naked body?
Yeah.
You don't like Jaffa cakes.
That's a good point, actually.
Watermelon. Are you Jesus?
Yes. Yes, I am. Only Jesus has lightning bolts that powerful.
Except Jacob. I have Skittles in my mouth. Wanna taste the rainbow?
All these questions rude.
Yeah, that's what your fans are. You're all sick. Mine are all about lions and fluffy kittens.
No, they're all the same fans, Phil. They're just allowed to express themselves on my channel.
Okay, the next question is, can I come to your house and touch you while you sleep?
You can stroke my glabella while I sleep. That's not my glabella. That's not my glabella. That's my glabella. You idiot.
Would you bum Susan Boyle for spare change?
No. I'd rather be the most homeless poor person in the entire world than bum Susan Boyle, thank you very much.
What boxers are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing orange spotty ones. Okay, pervert. They look like this.
What is your opinion on giraffes?
Sexy.
Do Do a giraffe noise.
Giraffes don't make noises. How many
They go,
times have we been over this?
Would you consider having your hobbit hair for more than a day?
No!
Have you ever played Gay Chicken? Would you want to play it with Phil on camera for us?
For £12 billion.
My PayPal is amazingphil@gmail.com.
Shut up.
What's the meaning of life in one word?
Chihuahua. Die.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I like spaghetti, let's go Link or Luigi?
Luigi, all the way. Luigi's awesome.
Super quai. If you fart and burp at the same time, would it make a vacuum in your tummy?
That's a good question. What would happen? You'd go...
You'd implode.
Implosion would occur.
What's your favourite Beyonce? I was meant to be what's your favourite animal?
What?
What's your favourite Beyonce?
Phil knows how to read. What's your favourite Beyonce?
Do you like Beyonce? 'Cause I do.
Great.
She wants Beyonce's face tattooed onto her face. I've got Beyonce's face tattooed onto my face.
Great.
Look. You, me, Professor Oak, a Pokemon battle, promptly followed by a threesome. You in?
No. Yeah, if it was Gary Oak, then I would be in there.
Is your penis really 2 foot long and glowing blue?
Yes. Do you want me to get it out?
Yes, please. What do you see in Wow!
What was the question? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh. What do you see in Voldemort that makes you want to be him?
Oh man, just those slits on his nose. You know what I'm thinking when I look at them.
What are you thinking when you look at them?
They'd be great to put rotisserie style kebabs in. Hello there, Samantha.
Have you ever gone skinny dipping?
Of course I have. Every time I get in the bath.
Who would win in a fight, a Dalek or a ninja?
Well, obviously a Dalek. The ninja would be like, "Wah!" And the Dalek would just go.
Do you smoke?
No!
Do you play guitar, and what guitars do you like?
I've spent quite a lot of money on guitars in my time, but I like these ones.
Ow.